what's happening around the world,
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Hashini Patirana.
And I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Misuse of the President's Fund. Stunning names revealed.
මේ මගේ ළඟ තිබෙන්නේ 2005-2024 ජනාධිපතිවරු අරමුදලෙන් වෙන් කරන ලද ගෙවීම් සම්බන්ධ තොරතුරු ජෝන් අමරතුංග 2017 රන්තේ රුපියල් ලක්ෂ 40යි ජෝසප් මයිකල් පෙරේරා ලක්ෂ 27යි ටීබී ඒකනායක ලක්ෂ 48යි නීතිඥ ජයන්ත වීරසිංහ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ලීගල් ඇඩ්වයිසර් ලක්ෂ 90යි ඇලික් කළුවිහාරේ ලක්ෂ 22යි රාජ සේනාරත්න ලක්ෂ 100යි කෙහෙලිය රඹුක්වැල්ල ලක්ෂ 110යි
1,448 million rupees spent to provide security to former presidents during the past 11 months. Only police to provide protection to former presidents from next week.
මේ අරමුණ විශ්‍රාමික ජනාධිපතිවරුන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාව පමණක් නොවේ මේ රටේ සමස්ත ජනයාගේ ආරක්ෂාව තහවුරු කිරීම තමයි අපේ අරමුණ.
Dr. Jagat Vikramanayaka elected to the post of Speaker of Parliament. Where are the certificates on the academic qualifications of the opposition leader?
ඔබතුමාට විපක්ෂ නායකයාට චෝදනාවක් තියෙනවා හැම පැත්තෙම සමාජ මාධ්‍යවල ගෝ ලන්ඩන් ස්කූල් ඔෆ් ඉකොනොමික්ස් කෝ මොකද සහතිකේ උපාධිය තියෙනවද?
හෙට උදේට මම ලැබපු සියලුම අධ්‍යාපන සුසුකම් ටික මේ සභාවේ ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නට අදහස් කරනවා.
In a top story for tonight, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake will conclude his 3-day official visit to India today.
President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, who is on a 3-day official visit to India, arrived in Bihar this morning to pay his respects to the sacred site where Lord Buddha attained enlightenment. The General Secretary of the Indian Mahabodhi Association, Venerable Palavatte Siveli Thera and Venerable Ratmalvala Sumittananda Thera from the Saranath Centre bestowed their blessings on President Dissanayake. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake also met with Indian President Draupadi Murmu last night at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. The discussions focused on strengthening the long-standing Indo-Sri Lanka relationship and regional security.
Sri Lanka is an important part of India's neighbour-first policy and the Sagar vision. India will continue to provide support to the development drive of the Sri Lankan government. The commitment of our two countries to continue bilateral relations is seen in this joint statement. I believe that the economic stability and development of Sri Lanka will be a priority in India's investment plan. This visit is a new approach to the future of relations between India and Sri Lanka. I assure you that we will continue to work with Sri Lanka to ensure the safety of the seas.
हमारे संबंधों को विकसित किया है.
मगरके आर्थिक प्रतुक्रिय वर्धने संस्थागत कार्यालयों इंडिया विश्वासांत मित्रे अपने समीपतम असरगस्य होंगे मदद सहायक अपने करते अपने लोककार्य की शक्ति रंगा होती ने सामूहिक क्रियाकारित्व मत श्रीलंका विद लबादन नोसेरल सहायक प्रावेशा विकल्पवे मां इंडिया वगैरह जनता मगे हृदय विश्व අප අතර ඇති සහයෝගීතාවය තවදවසක් වතුන නැතයන්ට අප එක්වන ඉදිරිගමු අපගේ රටවල සමස්ත කලාපයෙන් සෞභාග්‍ය ලැබෙන්නේ නැතයි යන මාගේ හිතනවා.
Following the discussions, President Dissanayake and his delegation joined an official dinner at the invitation of the Indian President. Meanwhile, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake also held a discussion with leading Indian business representatives yesterday. The discussion, organized by the Confederation of Indian Industry, also known as CII, brought together some of India's most prominent entrepreneurs. President Dissanayake highlighted the investor-friendly environment in Sri Lanka and invited Indian entrepreneurs to explore investment opportunities in the country. The discussion, aimed at strengthening investment and trade relations between the two nations, focused on key areas such as digital economy, tourism, renewable energy and information technology.
India and Sri Lanka are concerned and opportunities are a concept.
The conversation also emphasized expanding investment opportunities in Sri Lanka by leveraging trade between the two countries. During the meeting, Indian business leaders expressed their willingness to invest in Sri Lanka, and the Sri Lankan government pledged to provide necessary investment facilitation.
Thank you.
Minister Nalinda Jayatissa presented details regarding payments made from the Presidential Fund between 2005 and 2024 in Parliament today.
There is a fund established to support the children of our country under the President's Fund Act No. 7 of 1978. When this bill was passed in November 1978, it was explicitly stated that there were several categories that should receive assistance. These benefits could be provided through this presidential fund to those who have contributed to the nation in areas such as education, religion, and for the purpose of alleviating poverty. I have information related to payments made from the period between 2005 to 2024 through the President's Fund. I will now list some of the people who received aid from the Presidential Fund. Here are their names. P. Harrison, Piyasena Gamage, Sumedha Jayasena. She is well known in Monragala as she has many sheds. Manoj Sirisena, P. Dayaratna, S. E. Muthukumaran, Vasudeva Nanakara, Sarat Amunugama, and S.B. Navin. These names are directly mentioned here, although there are few additional names that are a bit difficult to trace. One name in particular is J.P. D.P.K. Jayasekara. Who is J.P. D.K. Jayasekara? There's only one Jayasekara that we know. This should likely be J.P. Dayasiri Padmakumara Jayasekara. However, the name appears as J.P. D.K. Jayasekara in the records. H.M.P.N.D. Silva, P.L. Nishantha Silva, and S.A.D.S. Premajantha. Who is Premajantha? This should be Susil Premajantha. Yes, it was difficult to locate the name. And this is E.A.I.D.D. Pereira. Isuru Devapriya. This is only a few. There are others. S.A. Jagat Kumara received 1 million from the President's Fund. KPS Kumarsi took 953,430 in 2022. Jayalal Jayawardena received 1 million. Nama Gunawardena received 1 million. Dharmadasa Banda also received 1 million. Vidura Vikramanayaka received 1.5 million. Vimalavira Disanayaka got 3 million. Lucky Jayawardena from Kandy got 16.2 million. P. Chandrasekaran took 1.4 million. John Amaratunga received 4 million in 2017. Joseph Michael Pereira secured 2.7 million. T.B. Ekanayaka received 4.8 million. W.M.S. Fonseca got 5.5 million. This is not Sarath Fonseca. Jayantha Veerasinghe, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's legal advisor, received 9 million. Alik Alubihare got 2.2 million. Ranjit Aluvihare received 8.6 million. The entire generation of Aluvihares have purchased medicine from the money of the people. Rajit Sena Ratna received 10 million. Kehelia Rambukwil received 11 million for medical treatment abroad. MKADS Gunawardena received 11.2 million. Ranjit Soisa secured 18.8 million. DM Jayaratna took 30 million. These are the money in the President's Fund. How hard does someone from a rural village have to try to access 3 to 400,000? What category do these individuals fall under? How is that they receive between 9, 10, 25 and 30 million rupees? These are helpless people. They have taken money from here. Their entire generations have taken money from here. This is how the President's Fund has been used. The President's Fund is chaired by the President. From 2005 to 2024, it was chaired by 4 presidents: Mahinda Rajapaksa, Maithripala Sirisena, Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe. This money should have been invested in the children who are the future generations of Sri Lanka, but has instead been wasted like this. From September 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2024, the annual expenses of Medical Division of the Prime Minister's Office was 12.1 million rupees. These costs represent expenditures that the Honorable Prime Minister has sought to reduce by returning ambulances in recent months. These figures represent how the taxpayers' money was spent by previous governments over the years. Who used this money? Dinesh Gunawardena. Where is the office of the Prime Minister located? How far is it from the office to the National Hospital? The people gave us the power to stop these and we are doing that. Minister of Public Security Ananda Vijaypal informed Parliament today that all members of the tribe forces who have been assigned to the security details of former presidents will be removed from next week.
The minister said that police officers will be assigned to provide security to former presidents based on timely threat assessments. A special statement regarding this was made by the Minister of Public Security in Parliament today.
First of all, I must say that this is not at all a reduction in the security of the former presidents. What has happened here is adequate security has been provided to former presidents based on a proper assessment. The additional officers above the required limit who had been assigned to these security details were removed. 60 police officers and 228 personnel from the army had been assigned for the security and other requirements of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. 60 police officers and 4 members of the army had been assigned to the security detail of former President Maithripala Sirisena. 22 police officers and 188 army personnel had been assigned to the security detail of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. A total of 117 officers, including 60 police officers and 57 army personnel, had been attached to the security detail of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Former President Chandrika Kumaratunga has a security detail of 60 police officers, while Hema Premadasa has a security detail of 10 police officers. The Tri-Forces has spent 328 million rupees, the police has spent 327 million rupees and the Presidential Secretariat has spent 55 million rupees for the security detail of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa for the past 11 and a half months. A total of 710 million rupees has been spent for the security of Mahinda Rajapaksa for the past 11 and a half months. The Tri-Forces has spent 6 million rupees. The police has spent 185 million rupees and the Presidential Secretariat has spent 16 million rupees for the security detail of former President Maithripala Sirisena. A total of 207 million rupees has been spent on his security. The Tri-Forces has spent 258 million rupees. The police has spent 39 million rupees and the Presidential Secretariat has spent 10 million rupees for the security detail of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. This is a total of 307 million rupees. The Tri-Forces has spent 19 million rupees for a period of 3 months for the security of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The police has spent 60 million rupees for these 3 months and the Presidential Secretariat has spent 3 million rupees for the security detail of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. A total of 82 million rupees has been spent for the security of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe for the past 3-month period. The Tri-Forces has not spent any money to provide security to former President Chandrika Bandaranayake. The police has spent 99 million rupees and the Presidential Secretariat has spent 12 million rupees to provide protection to former President Chandrika Bandaranayake, adding up to a total of 110 million rupees. The Tri-Forces has not spent any money to provide security to Hema Premadasa. The police has spent 30 million rupees and the Presidential Secretariat has spent 3 million rupees to provide protection to Hema Premadasa, adding up to a total of 32 million rupees. A total of 1,448 million rupees of the people's money has been spent on the security of former presidents during the past 11 and a half months. I must say that those who say that the security provided to them is not enough say so not with the best interest of the people at their heart, but they say this because they cannot let go of their habits to use public funds for their own pleasure. On the other hand, they have to justify as to why they need so many army officers. We have to question these people as to if they need these army officers to take care of their dogs and take them to the vet when they are sick. I would like to state that as a government, we are committed to fulfill the people's mandate and we do not intend on changing that. No threat or pressure can change that. Starting from next week, the police will continue to provide protection while all army officers assigned to the security details of former presidents will be removed and security will be provided to former presidents based on threat assessment conducted every 6 months. If we act in this manner, we will be able to save approximately 1,200 million rupees every year. It has been decided to assign 60 police officers to the security detail of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and to provide him with 1 police vehicle and 3 vehicles from the Presidential Secretariat. 60 police officers to the security detail of former President Maithripala Sirisena, while 1 police vehicle and 3 vehicles from the Presidential Secretariat have also been provided. The police has proposed that former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to be provided with 20 police officers, 1 police vehicle and 3 vehicles from the Presidential Secretariat. 60 police officers to the security detail of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, while 1 police vehicle and 3 vehicles from the Presidential Secretariat have also been provided. 60 police officers to the security detail of former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga, while 1 police vehicle and 3 vehicles from the Presidential Secretariat have also been provided. 10 police officers, 1 vehicle from the police and 2 vehicles from the Presidential Secretariat will be provided to Hema Premadasa. Honourable Speaker, our intention is not only to take into consideration the security of former presidents, but also to ensure the security of the general public of the entire country.
අපේ අරමුණ තමා මේ අරමුණ විශ්‍රාමික ජනාධිපතිවරුන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාව පමණක් නොවේ මේ රටේ සමස්ත ජනයාගේ ආරක්ෂාව තහවුරු කිරීම තමා අපේ අරමුණ.
When taking away 1 prisoner, 2 vehicles of the Special Task Force are seen escorting him on the media. But what are they going to do by removing the security from the Special Task Force and the army assigned to the leader who saved the country? I saw reports quoting the Minister of Public Security saying that rupees 3 billion is spent to provide the army for security. However, even if this security detail is withdrawn, does that mean the expenditure will disappear? No, those officers will simply return to their camps. This country endured a 30-year war, and during that time, 3 billion was spent for every 5 minutes. Yet, the leader who ended that war is provided with only about 60 police personnel for security. But an underworld leader is given 2 STF vehicles for protection, 2 STF vehicles for an underworld leader. These officers were assigned according to the assessment done by a specialist team. This was the amount recommended, rupees 6.1 billion, not even rupees 1 billion, 610 million rupees. That means 6.1 billion rupees has been spent by the tri-forces for these 5 individuals or 6 individuals. Then assigning the STF to prisoners is fine, but have you evaluated this before assigning security to prisoners? Can the regular police protect the president of the country? This is the issue. You must not act in a way that caters to the whims of the LTTE diaspora. Where did evaluation come from? Is the same level of threat applicable to both Ranil Wickremesinghe and Mahinda Rajapaksa? There was a certain level of public acceptance regarding providing security to Mahinda Rajapaksa. We had no criticism about that. However, the police and naval officers assigned for Mahinda Rajapaksa's security were reportedly involved in activities like working on his coconut estates, cultivating and protecting his coconut cultivations. As a result, there was a public demand to withdraw this security. I can show MP Devi Chanaka instances where Navy personnel were deployed for such purposes. Member of Parliament Dr. Jagat Wickremaratne of the National People's Power was being appointed as the new Speaker of Parliament today.
The Secretary-General of Parliament announced today that Ashoka Sapumal Ranwala has resigned from his position as Speaker of the Parliament and the President has accepted his resignation. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya proposed Dr. Jagat Wickremaratne's name for the position of Speaker and it was seconded by Minister Bimal Ratnayaka, the Leader of the House.
Of Parliament for the office of Speaker of the 10th Parliament.
Could somebody second this proposal?
දසවැනි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතානායක ධූරය සඳහා ගරු පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී ජගත් වික්‍රමරත්න මැතිතුමා සුදුසුයයි ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය විසින් කරන ලද යෝජනාව මම ස්ථිර කරමි.
MP Nalin Bandara Jayamaha of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya had previously said that they would put forward a nominee for the Speaker's position from the opposition, but no such proposal was made today.
Any other names, please?
Accordingly, Dr. Jagat Wickremaratne was appointed as the new Speaker of Parliament. He was elected to Parliament after receiving 51,391 votes from the Polonnaruwa district.
I wish to assure this House that I fully recognize the responsibility entrusted to me, and I am committed to upholding the independence and impartiality required from the Speaker. I sincerely hope that we can work together with mutual understanding to fulfill the aspirations of the people.
4 new MPs nominated from the national list were sworn in today. The first to take the oath was MP Faisal Mustafa from the national list of the New Democratic Front. Following him, MP Sujeeva Senasinghe, Muthu Mohammed and Mano Ganesan from the national list of the Samagi Jana Balawega also took their oaths before the Deputy Speaker.
Right, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, the Archbishop of Colombo, said that this current government should be allowed sufficient time to implement their program effectively. He expressed these views to the media after participating in an event to award scholarships in Gampaha.
The trade-oriented economy in Sri Lanka was introduced after the change of government in 1978. Since that time, a pattern of self-interest began to take root, leading to the widespread growth of corruption and lawlessness across the country. With the recent political shift, there was hope that the new leadership would address and reverse this situation. We continue to hold on to that hope. It has only been 2 months since they assumed power. They must be given the necessary time to establish reforms, implement legislation in Parliament and focus on nation building. We are optimistic that this government will strive to liberate Sri Lanka from the constraints of this market economy system. It would be truly beneficial if the nation's resources could be equitably distributed among all its citizens, ensuring fairness and equality for all. We remain hopeful that this government is conducting a fair and impartial investigation into the Easter Sunday attack now. We are being kept informed about the progress of these investigations. Our expectation is that there will be transparent, thorough and honest investigations that will reveal the truth about the events surrounding the attack, including who was responsible, the motives behind it and those who orchestrated it.
News First with the people.
Debate was held in Parliament today on the supplementary estimate submitted to provide a grant of Rs 6,000 to children from families receiving welfare benefits for the purpose of purchasing school equipment. The debate is scheduled to continue tomorrow. However, a heated situation arose during the debate today regarding the educational qualifications of members of Parliament.
There
has been a surprising level of interest in the qualifications of the representatives, including MPs and ministers. On one hand, we are happy. They cannot investigate us for corruption, so they are looking into our education qualifications. In a way, I think this focus on educational qualifications could be seen as a step forward. However, if these politicians are being dishonest or deceiving in public, and the desire to expose those lies is what drives these criticisms and investigations, we are ready to discuss that. However, we know very well that the current debate about our qualifications is not coming from a place of honesty. It is clear that this is driven by deeply dishonest and malicious political motives.
We were not
the ones who found out about Ranvala's educational qualifications. Social activists spoke about his qualifications. Do not point the fingers at us. Now there is Dr. Rizvisali, the Deputy Speaker. Your leaflet said that he is a specialist doctor. The criticism you are making against the Deputy Speaker is not in line with the parliamentary traditions. However, he has already provided a clarification. Any further clarifications can be made once he returns to his proper seat. I was awarded an honorary doctorate by the Parliament website, and I am not placing blame on anyone for that. My concern isn't with the person who made the changes on the website, but rather with finding out who instructed them to alter the details in that way. Many are now pointing fingers at the National People's Power that we are claiming to have qualifications that we don't have. I am urging those who are making such allegations to take a moment and look at those sitting next to you as well. I presented 9 nominations elections to the parliament in the 2024 parliamentary election. Everywhere, the reference to Ajit B. Pereira is being stated as Advocate Ajit P. Pereira. To be called an advocate, he must have passed the bar exam before 1973. After 1973, all legal professionals are attorney at law. It would have been impossible for Ajit P. Pereira to become an advocate before that time, as he was only about 5 years old back then. It is very difficult for a 5-year-old to take an exam at that age. I would like to submit my General Certificate of Education results, advanced level results, as well as my medical degree from Jawaharlal University, which I obtained in 2008. I am also submitting the original certificate for successfully completing the limited resident training as a medical professional. Additionally, I would like to submit the first copy of the certificate I received for full registration with the Medical Council under the number 26/5/4/3 on the 21st December 2010. Furthermore, I would like to make a request from Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena. Under Section 29 of the Medical Ordinance, if you are a registered medical practitioner with the Sri Lanka Medical Council, I kindly ask that you provide proof of your registration with the Medical Council within 1 month, as I have.
I became a qualified barrister in the UK in the year 2000. In addition, I completed my training that same year at a leading barristers firm in the UK. As a result, I am fully capable of appearing for cases in any court in the UK even today. However, during my election campaign and at no other time have I ever claimed to be an advocate in Sri Lanka's Supreme Court.
කිසිම අවස්ථාවක ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ අධිනීතිඥවරියක් වශයෙන් මම කොහෙවත් සඳහන් කරලා නැහැ.
ඔබතුමිය ලංකාවට ආවන් පස්සේ
After you arrived in Sri Lanka, it is not possible to directly go to the courts with a barrister's license. You need to register as an attorney at law here. The best way to clarify this is to check with the Council of Legal Education to see whether you are allowed to use that title in Sri Lanka.
කිසි දිනක උසාවියකට ගිහිල්ලා මම
I have never claimed to be an advocate in Sri Lanka's Supreme Court, nor have I ever stated that I appeared in court as such.
As all medical doctors, we get a ID. This is my ID card.
Honorable Chairperson, I spent 6 years studying hard to become a doctor, and I completed my internship over the course of a year. I received my registration certificate on the 12th March 2013. If I need to go to the United States tomorrow, I can work as a doctor by passing the US family exam and practice there. Similarly, if I want to practice in Australia tomorrow, I can complete the ANC and do so too.
ANC කරලා මට කරන්න පුළුවන්. මට කතා කරා බොහෝ අය ඇයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ නාමල් රාජපක්ෂගේ අධ්‍යාපන සුසුකම් ඉල්ලන්නේ නැත්තේ?
Many people have asked why Namal Rajapaksa's educational qualifications are not being questioned. Recently, I spoke with a gentleman named Tushara, who is currently seeking political asylum in Switzerland. He told me that the exam took place in October 2010 and he was in the same batch as Namal Rajapaksa. According to Tushara, Namal was given special access to a computer in an air-conditioned room to complete the final exam with the questions provided in advance. Tushara filed complaints with the police and also reported the issue to the Chief Justice. The situation became unbearable for him, forcing him to leave the country. Now he is in Switzerland under political asylum, though he has stated that he could return to Sri Lanka at any time. He is calling for a thorough investigation and for justice to be served regarding his complaint. This is the story of how the exam was allegedly conducted. It is clear that political power was used for personal gain, especially through the influence of his father's position as president. This is an important historical issue that we must address when discussing our country's history.
මේක තමයි ඓතිහාසික කතාව හරිනම් සාකච්ඡාවට ගන්න අපේ රටේ ඉතිහාසය පිළිබඳව.
මේ වෙලාවේ දැන් විපක්ෂ නායකතුමනි අපි
Honorable opposition leader, after allegations were levelled, your MP stood up and responded. Our former speaker Ashok Ranwala resigned because he needed time to present his certificate and not due to any issue with his degree. He is taking time to present his certificate here. As the leader of the opposition, you are being criticised from all sides on social media. Questions are being raised about the London School of Economics and people are asking where your certificate is. Do you even have a degree? You can make this an opportunity to show your certificates and show that your qualifications are not questionable. Minister Nalinda Jayatissa has requested that I present my certificates. Tomorrow morning, I plan to submit all of my academic qualifications to this parliament. I intend to present not only my degree certificate, but also every other certificate I have obtained.
I possess a postgraduate diploma in ENT surgery. This was in the era that the Health Ministry, along with the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, started courses after having a competitive exam among doctors to select doctors for a course of study and award them diplomas to man the base hospitals mainly that lack these specialties. I was selected after a competitive exam in the Health Ministry and trained as a DLO surgeon to go and manage. My last appointment in the government health sector was ENT surgeon in Norelia. But I again wish to reiterate that since 2019, when the Sri Lanka Medical Council brought in regulations to have a specialist register, or even before that, I never identified myself as an ENT surgeon or an ENT specialist. However, in Norelia, you could imagine when you walk into the ENT clinic, when I walk in, they address me as ENT surgeon. But I never advocated them to call me as such. But what am I to do? I'm not going to knock on the heads of the patients who call me that. They might call me ENT surgeon. That is wrong nomenclature. But that is the fact, I could say. So probably I think somebody who knew me from that time went and wrote this in the poster. That was a poster for common candidates of which I had nothing to do with it. Another malicious allegation is that I am not registered to even practice in Sri Lanka and that I am not a doctor. I categorically say that this claim is blatant false, misguided and misleading. To set the record straight, I hold a valid certificate of registration from the Sri Lanka Medical Council.
A joint mission from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank in a report today proposed important reforms to improve Sri Lanka's public debt management.
The joint mission from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, which visited Colombo in early 2023, identified several gaps in the country's current system. The mission recommended introducing a new public debt management law, which would establish the Debt Management Office and define its mandate. The new public debt management law would define the governance and accountability framework for the public debt management from Parliament, who would delegate to the Ministry of Finance the authority to borrow and issue guarantees on behalf of the state. The mission considered two options for organizing the new debt management office and recommended that it be made up of a small group of specialized professionals focused on public debt management functions. The IMF and the World Bank emphasized the need for a more unified and transparent approach to managing public debt. According to the IMF, the authorities agreed with the mission's recommendations. As next steps, the authorities will begin drafting the PDM law and implement reforms that can be carried out ahead of the formal establishment of the new DMO.
Considering the current situation, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka says that electricity tariffs can be reduced by approximately 11%.
The PUCSL, in their response to the CEB's proposal, pointed out that the fuel used to produce electricity can also be reduced. Views of the general public on the draft proposal were also accepted starting today. The relevant draft has been prepared after studying several factors, including the electricity tariff proposal submitted by the Ceylon Electricity Board and the report on price of fuel used for electricity generation issued by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. However, the Electricity Board has proposed to maintain the existing electricity tariff for the first 6 months of 2025.
U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung met with the newly appointed Chief Justice, President's Counsel Murthu Fernando today.
During the meeting, U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung and Chief Justice Murthu Fernando engaged in discussions focusing on shared values between U.S. and Sri Lanka, including the rule of law, transparency and inclusive governance. Ambassador Chung also highlighted the importance of empowering future generations of women leaders. Ambassador Chung also congratulated Murthu Fernando on her appointment as the new Chief Justice of Sri Lanka's Supreme Court and the second woman ever to hold that post.
The Court of Appeal today ordered the Central Environmental Authority to continuously monitor the air quality in the Jaffna area for 1 month and present the findings to court. This order was issued while considering a petition submitted by Dr. Umasuki Nadaraja, a resident of Jaffna.
The Court of Appeal also instructed the Minister of Environment and other relevant parties to explore the possibility of creating a program to inform the public if any adverse air quality conditions are detected in the Jaffna area. Attorney Ravindranath Dabare, appearing on behalf of the petitioner, informed the court that responsible state institutions have so far failed to conduct a formal investigation into the air quality of the war-affected Jaffna Peninsula. The council pointed out that despite repeated requests submitted to the authorities to investigate this issue, no action has been taken so far. After considering the submissions, court granted permission to proceed with the examination of the petition. The next hearing is scheduled to take place on the 6th of March 2025.
The Court of Appeal today instructed the Minister of Environment and relevant authorities to assess the situation, particularly regarding the air quality in the Jaffna area. If any harmful pollutants have been added to the air in that region, they are to inform the public and establish a mechanism to prompt action. The authorities have been directed to report back to the court on the possibility of creating such an alert system.
A carcass of a short-finned pilot whale had beached on the coastline near Bambalapitia.
According to officials from Nara, a school of these fish was seen close to Bambalapitia. They added that the carcass of the whale was identified as that of a male close to 35 years old. The National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency, the Department of Wildlife, Navy and Coast Guard were at the location since yesterday to tend to the animal.
We've come to check on a pilot whale carcass. A short-finned pilot whale has washed up and stranded here. Actually, last night it was in a weakened state. It was trying to get out of the reef, but the waves were crashing, so it was a little difficult for it to get out. There were about 5 or 6 other individuals with the animal that seem to have left. They usually have very strong family bonds, so typically you'll see them in a group. So unfortunately, this individual didn't make it. The Navy, Coast Guard and the Department of Wildlife have been on hand since yesterday to try to assist the animal. Unfortunately, it didn't make it, but we are here to understand what might be the problem.
The carcass was later retrieved for a post-mortem examination.
Canada's Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned from her post, citing disagreements with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on how to respond to incoming President Donald Trump's threat of tariffs.
Thank you all for being here tonight. It's obviously been an eventful day.
Canada's Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland announced her resignation in a letter to Trudeau, in which she said the two have been at odds about the best path forward for Canada and pointed to the grave challenge posed by Trump's policy of aggressive economic nationalism. Freeland said the decision comes after Trudeau informed her last week that he no longer wanted her to be his government's top economic advisor. Her resignation came hours before she was due to provide an annual fiscal government update in Parliament. According to reports, the move may push Trudeau's already shaky minority government to the brink. Following Freeland's departure, 5 citing Liberal MP publicly called on Trudeau to step down.
US President-elect Donald Trump lost a bid to overturn his criminal conviction stemming from hush money paid to an adult film star in light of the United States Supreme Court's ruling recognizing immunity from prosecution for a president's official acts.
Looks like the judges are going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial.
Justice Juan Merchan's denial of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's motion to dismiss the New York State case forecloses one avenue for the Republican president-elect to enter the White House on the 20th of January for his second four-year term without the stain of a criminal conviction. Trump's lawyers are separately trying to have verdict overturned on separate grounds in the wake of his defeat of the Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris on the 5th of November election. Merchan has not yet ruled on that motion. In Monday's 41-page decision, Merchan sided with Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office, which brought the case. The prosecutors argued their case dealt with Trump's personal conduct, not his official acts as president. The judge said Trump's prosecution for decidedly personal acts of falsifying business records poses no danger of intrusion on the authority and the function of the executive branch. In a statement, Trump's spokesperson Steve Chong called Merchan's decision a direct violation of the Supreme Court's decision on immunity.
A magnitude 7.4 earthquake has hit near Port Vila, Vanuatu.
Initial reports said the earthquake struck today at a location 37 kilometers from the capital at a depth of 10 kilometers. Later reports placed the depth of the earthquake at 43 kilometers, which was followed by magnitude 5.5 aftershock near the same location. Footage posted on social media showed buckled windows and collapsed concrete pillars on a building hosting foreign embassies in Port Vila, including those of the US, France, New Zealand and the United Kingdom. There were no initial reports of injuries or deaths.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you very much for joining us. Do take care.
Good night.